It's the biggest fear, forgetting
I
to hit
know.
that button.
I'm hearing you. It's been a long day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Renee, I sent that follow-up email to NICE
Oh,
about.
great. I was just looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Just pretty basic. If there's anything you want to add, throw it in.
Okay. No, I think that was right on. That reflected our meeting pretty well.
Okay. And Zach, I copied you on that email back to NICE about the pedestrian median on North Main.
I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah, just so you're in the loop on that. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hi, Justin.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, just wait.
And Zach, whenever you get, advanced detail plans or, schematics and whatnot, it sounds like it doesn't always get forwarded to the fire department. So Matt Payne and Matt, the district fire, what's that? Fuller.
Wallace.
Wallace. Jeez.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would like us to forward those things to them just in case, at least for now, until they get on the regular mailing list, which I thought they were.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
I don't know if I have their emails. I'll dig around, see if I have them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just meant if you get something that Mayor Plummer and I will try to remember to
Yeah.
forward anything we get, but if you get stuff that you notice we're not CC'd on, then we can pass it along.
Okay, for sure. I do have a meeting with the DOT tomorrow morning at 9 in regard to the Pittsford Monument system. They're just monuments that show like survey markers. Some of them are going to have to be adjusted, but we're not exactly sure which ones and how. Hopefully just vertically. I don't think they're going to move laterally because then it kind of throws everything off. But we'll I'll keep you posted on that, or if you want, I can send you the invite for it too.
yeah. Are you all clear on what monuments are? They're not, they're actually flat in the sidewalk and they're like little tiny brass, not manhole
Markers.
covers, but yeah, they're little,
Like
yeah,
markers.
they show orientation. Would that be the right thing to say? A directional?
They
Where would-
they look like valve covers for like a gas valve
Yeah,
or
that's a better.
and it's just something that's set in that area in that concrete or wherever it is to distinguish a boundary, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right, so they can't move them too far. But we
No.
got to redo the marker.
So Scott Harder is going to sit on it with me tomorrow morning, and we'll discuss all that stuff.
That's for like everything, for all the restriping and resurfacing, or just on the bridge?
Just that's throughout the village. All
Okay.
the areas that the DOT is going to be working in coming up when they do the resurfacing project. I believe there are. I have the list. Bear with me.
Are you covering this in your report? Because are we getting ahead of ourselves?
Probably.
Yeah, maybe a little.
We are just after 6:30 as well.
Yeah, and we do have a quorum.
So
Yeah, so maybe Dan's in transit or whatever. So I make a motion to open the meeting. Is there a second?
Second,
okay, roll call. Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Does any board member have a disclosure regarding any relevant information or contact pertaining to any of the items on the agenda this evening?
Lanfear, I do not.
Like Eb, I do not.
Stetser, I do not.
Oh, Plummer, I do not. Does any board member have a conflict of interest regarding any of the items on the agenda? That is, having a financial interest in the outcome of a vote on an item before you this evening?
Lanfear, I do not.
Like Eb, I do not.
Stetser does not.
Plummer does not. And just as a note for the record, if a conflict of interest is identified, by a board member, then that board member must recuse themselves from participating in any discussion or voting on the agenda item. And now would the clerk read the open meeting compliance?
Sure. Okay, the public will have opportunities to comment on specific agenda items when they occur in the meeting and also on general matters at the end of the meeting. Speakers can comment once in each comment window if it is specific agenda item. If it is not a debate, a deposition, or a panel discussions. Speakers must step, okay, they can't stop. I always want them to step to the front of the room here. If an attendee is participating via web conference technology such as Zoom, the clerk will announce how attendees should signal that they wish to comment. This may differ by platform, but is typically accomplished through raising hand feature. And that is the feature we're using. So raise your hand. I will call from you from that point, or you can post your questions in the Q&A. Please don't post in chat. I have many things going on and I really don't pay attention to the chat function. Speakers must give their name, address, and organization. There shall be an exemption for any category of people protected by New York State law. Speakers must be recognized by the presiding officers. Speakers must limit their remarks to 3 minutes on any given topic. Speakers may not yield any remaining time they may have to another speaker. Board members may, with the permission of the mayor, only interrupt a speaker during their remarks for the purpose of clarification or information. Speakers must observe the commonly accepted rules of courtesy, decorum, dignity, and good taste. Interested parties or the representatives may address the board by written communications to the village clerk at villageofpittsburgh.com. All written communications will become part of the public record and will be attached to the meeting's minutes for that meeting. At the sender's request, written communications will be read out loud by the clerk at the meeting and will adhere to the 3-minute time limit. If printed materials or other media are provided by attendees during the meeting, they must be submitted to the village board with optional distribution to audience members. All materials will be part of the public record. Private distribution of materials to audience members only is prohibited. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's begin our agenda, starting with department reports. The building inspector. Hi, Steve.
Hi. Anybody got any questions regarding their report?
You've been busy. Yes, Justin.
Yeah, I appreciate all your work, Steve, and I appreciate the detailed report as always. I just had one question, something that I didn't see on the report. Any updates on 19 North Main or on the Barnes and Chain Place in terms of enforcement or follow-up?
19 North Main, which the barn?
No,
Yeah.
that's the building next to Village Hall, I believe.
Oh, no, I had approached Mr. Akadin, and he said he was going to go to the council, and I have not heard anything back from him yet.
And that's the building next to Village Hall on that
Yeah,
one with the
Yeah, the White House.
Okay, so we're waiting for to hear back from them on that.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Bob Akadin again. I was trying to give him a little space, like I said.
Okay,
He
sure.
said he had to go back to the council and talk to them about it. And kind of another update too, I issued a second violation to the dairy.
Yep.
So they're on a, if nothing occurs in the next 30 days, they'll be issued a ticket. And we'll end up in court over that.
Okay. I agree that the consistency is important in terms of enforcement. Anything with the Barnes and Chain Place? Have we followed up on that at all?
I have not talked to the powers yet. It's on my agenda.
Okay, thank you. I know there's been a lot going on, so I appreciate all your follow-up and the detailed report.
You know, and Renee, you may want to chime in on this too, because we do have a little bit of information on the house next door to us. We call it the Wadhams house. It was just known because that family lived there. We had a meeting with the commissioner of the fire department and also the chief, and the commissioner said that he was initiating a full review of the property. I believe he's relatively new, and so he's just trying to get a handle on things and what maybe that use would be for that property or what they should be doing with it. So he's kind of doing a top to bottom with Stantec, actually. So I think that's great. And we said, whatever we can do to support you, happy to help out. And it was a good meeting. Renee, is there anything else we should add? I mean, I think that was kind of it.
No, and the meeting was just yesterday, so.
Yeah.
Just to.
They haven't turned it around yet.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because you had the chief was in on the meeting, correct?
yeah, yes. We
And the
met with the,
commissioner of the district. Yeah.
yeah, oh, you met, yes, the chief and the commissioner,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. So just as a update
Yeah.
from us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of great. You know, they're taking a look at it, making an assessment, and I think that's good. Hi, Dan. Hi, Lily. Okay, anything else for Steve on his report? All good?
Just to let the whole board know too, I've been taking some energy classes and we are meeting with, a gentleman next week, as far as trying to enter in or become a climate smart community. So that's in the process. We now are getting some credits for the training, and then they're gonna come and review, and see what else we can do to, because there's a lot of, he's saying there's a lot of grant money sitting on the table right now that people aren't utilizing. So we are going to do everything we can to get our points up. So maybe we can, you know, take advantage of some of that stuff and do some more things for the village as far as energy and the climate.
And I'll be speaking to that in member items about our energy audit that we just had too. So that's great. Yeah,
All right, good.
all good. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks so much, Steve. Next up, DPW report, and I know Zach, just so everybody knows, DPW has been really a bit short-staffed lately, so Zach, if you didn't have a prepared report, we really do understand. So if you could just give us some of your updates, just verbally, that would be helpful for all of us.
Yeah, I apologize. They're just trying to make the transition from fall or, well, from the summer to fall without any staff, so it's been a little bit difficult for us. I did get the speed sentries in that we ordered a couple months back, so they're sitting at the office right now. Just need locations that you guys would like them.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Do we need to, can we decide that right now, or I mean, we identified some last year, and when do we want to make that decision about where they should go?
Do we want to, maybe what you could do, because I know Renee, you had some thoughts with Zach, maybe you could circulate that offline to the rest of the board and, we could just all chime in, so we're not tying up
Sure.
Yeah, we can
time.
decide that offline, because we're not going to have another meeting till, okay, great.
Yeah, because we know we want them. We've already identified preliminary areas, and I think just maybe, a little bit of a tweak between all of us, and we can get those sentries out there, which is wonderful.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
And you'll tell us which ones, we have 1 permanent and 2 solar, or I can't remember what we ended up with, or do I have it backwards?
Right now we have the one that we've had, and then we just had 2 delivered that were the mobile units that you could put on posts, and just move them around the village, not permanent placed.
Okay,
All right. A couple weeks ago, we had a pipe failure on Shane Place. I had to bring in a contractor to dig the road up and replace the pipe. It was a $4,000 repair. We noticed it one morning when we were doing garbage that there was a sinkhole that opened up next to a catch basin, and this is down by the new coffee house. So it was a quick fix. It didn't take too long, but it just one more thing that shows, that the storm sewer systems are failing around here. It wasn't unplanned, but it wasn't planned for either. So it was just an additional cost that it's going to burden the budget.
so Zach, was that a corrugated pipe? What was that?
Yeah, metal corrugated pipe.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know when that was installed, but I'm assuming that it's going to have the same life as every other corrugated metal pipe around here, which seems to be about 50 or 60 years old.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and thanks for turning that around so quickly. I know that was a surprise.
Thank God for Craig Prince.
Yeah.
One thing that we noticed when I was over at the Wood Creek pump station inspecting it is one of the pump recirculators failed. So I had a company that comes out and they do service work on our pumps there, and they pulled the pumps up and they found that the flush valve was broken. And so I asked them for a quote to replace that, and then also another quote to add an additional flush valve on the other pump. So to rebuild the one that was existing is $547. And then to install a new one on the second pump would be $4,490.30. I would recommend doing this as just a backup. What it does is it agitates the surface of the water for any floating debris that might be in that barrel, and helps to turn it so it could in fact get sucked up by the pump eventually. So with the size of the barrel, the amount of grease that ends up in that barrel, it would just help prolong the life of the pumps and the maintenance on the system. I don't think that I need you guys to vote on or anything. I just wanted to report it to you guys that this is in fact what I'm going to be looking at. So I guess your blessing would be acceptable. I don't think it requires a vote.
We get to bless a pump,
Yeah.
sewer pump. Well, it's necessary and.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you for
think-
identifying it.
I think it is, and it'll kind of future-proof the pumps.
Mhm. Yeah, it's good that we have the backup. That's really excellent.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
We've had about 7 or 8 applicants apply for the positions at the DPW. I've got 2 people scheduled for interviews. One of them's on Friday and another one's on Monday. Hopeful, one of them will take the job anyway. And we're also looking at the possibility of getting a temp agency to give us day labor for the time being, just to assist with getting leaves picked up because we're falling pretty far behind at this point. And then if need be with getting decorations up, because that's coming up in 2 weeks too. So it's a lot to do in a short period of time. So
Yeah, oh, excuse me 1 second, Zach. There's a hand up from, I see with Dorothea. Yeah.
Real quick, I haven't had a chance to talk to Zach because I did reach out to a couple temp agencies. I did get a couple quotes working with a deco temp agency. We're looking at $23 an hour per person. The other one I reached out to was like $30 an hour. So I would recommend the board at least give us some authorization to go ahead and pull in a couple temps, because right now it's down to Zach and Joan and Jason. So they really need the help. So if we can move that along so we can get someone in as early as Thursday or Friday to get them moving along to help with leaves.
Can you, that $23, that's like a loaded cost. Am I correct? Can you?
Yes, the employee
Elaborate.
we're paying them, they would pay the employees $16. They take out their percentage, plus they cover all this social security and all the other additionals that is
They're
necessary.
picking that up.
Yeah, and the nice thing for us with doing this, I'd love to reach out and hire someone by the time we interview and bring them in, do everything we need to do on an emergency basis. Even we're going to end up having possibility of New York State retirement, could be unemployment. This way it's a little cleaner. We can bring them in if they don't work out, so I can send the guy or girl home and call the agency and get someone else in. So the good thing is we could actually have someone working as early as Thursday or Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Dan, yes. Hi.
Are there any union concerns with using temp labor?
No.
Yeah, Justin.
I thank you for asking the question about union concerns, Dan. I was also thinking about that. The safety issues, are they trained for any equipment they're going to be using? Do they need commercial driver's licenses or anything like that?
My suggestion they wouldn't be driving vehicles. They would be raking primarily or whatever Zach had them do, but not really any equipment they would use. Obviously, Zach would make sure they were trained, but it's going to be very limited. I mean, we're talking really labor, getting the leaves picked up is my guess that what Zach is really looking for here.
I've talked to the crew. What we'll do is just have whoever shows up here as a labor, basically just sit passenger in any equipment that gets moved around or any vehicles, and just operate a rake or help string lights.
Sounds good.
So pretty basic stuff, really. And, Zach, just while we're on this topic of picking up the leaves, which are massive, could you speak to, also the safety when you're really on the, our more major roads and how many people we need to do that? It can't just be 2 people.
Yeah, this morning I went
It's
out.
not safe.
No, we're trying to get, this is technically our last week of picking up brush on schedule. If anybody needs brush picked up after this point, they would need to call me and try to schedule it with me. But this morning, I went out with a crew at 6 a.m. to get the rest of the brush off the main roads and working on Monroe Ave. It's dark. There are 4 of us out there with flashing lights on our trucks, and it still wasn't enough light for people to really see us well. And actually, one of the town employees drove past us and yelled at us for not being visible enough in the dark. So enough, the more bodies, the more high vis clothing, flashing lights is always going to be helpful in the dark situation for people to be able to see it. So
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're working in the dark, I don't know that that's a good thing, especially on a main road.
right now the days are shorter. We don't
Yeah.
have, it's just we're kind of up against the wall with trying to get all this stuff done. So we have to do what we have to do. And honestly, I mean, it's not uncommon for us to come in at this time of year when it's dark out to do this. One thing we're looking into is getting floodlights wrapped around all the vehicles, so when we are out in the dark, it'll look like a UFO. Give us some more light and alert other drivers that were in the area, because we're always moving, so it's hard to set up a work zone.
Yeah,
You can't set up barricades and cones and
yeah.
flashing lights and then take those down to move down 25 feet or at the next 50 feet. It's just constantly moving, so it's kind of a tough situation to work with.
Dan, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, a couple things. Zach, obviously the safety is the most important thing. And I wanted you to clarify, I heard you say, or maybe I didn't hear it right, that this is the last week we're doing this. And my question is going to be in 2 parts. The first is, it's an unusual year in that the leaves haven't all fallen yet, and we're on November 9th. So just trying to stay ahead of, if we stopped, we would get all kinds of complaints. So can we extend? If we do extend, how do we keep everybody safe? So that's the question.
I think also if you can make the distinction, Zach, between brush pickup and leaf pickup, I think that'll be helpful for everybody,
Yes, brushes, limbs, anything that would come off of a tree or that's larger that wouldn't get picked up by our leaf vacuum. Leaves are just strictly leaves. So from about April 15th, I think, we kind of followed the no parking on the roads policy. From April 15th to about November 1st, we'll pick up brush, and then after those dates, we stop picking up brush and solely focus on leaves and snow. So the distinction between those 2 things is just that, leaves and brush.
Yeah, leaves and brush are distinctly separate. So we have, if I'm understanding correctly, you're no longer picking up brush because it's all leaves all the time, basically, from this point forward.
Yeah.
And Dan, you're right. It's been a crazy fall. Like I still have green leaves on some trees. So, it's going to be ongoing, if I'm understanding you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and until the snow starts falling, we'll be picking up leaves. So the only thing that's really going to trip us up is just the decorations for the holiday. So we'll try to get those done during the week of Thanksgiving, so that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday we'll be getting all the decorations out, and then hopefully after that we'll be back onto picking up leaves, providing everything and everyone holds up well enough to do so.
Okay. Anything else?
Can we just get a motion to go ahead and authorize us to pull in the temp agent?
Oh, you want to, yeah, we should do that right now because we're still on that.
Yep.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Yeah.
Trustee Lightgib.
I'm sorry, could we just put a parameter around that or something? Is there a duration or a dollar limit for the
I would guess that $23 is the most reasonable rate I'm going to come across. I can reach out to a third agency, but I'm
Yeah.
well within the dollar amount for the budget line I was looking, and we were thinking at least 2 weeks would be a good help, and we could go from there and touch base with the board.
Not
However
yet.
you guys want to do it.
Zach?
So we do have a new employee starting on Thursday. She's gonna be raking like crazy for us. So until we get another employee hired, I would say, we'd have to probably keep a temp in here as much as possible between now and then. So if I can get someone to start in 2 weeks, then it would only be 2 weeks. If I get someone to start in a week, it'd only be a week.
Mhm. So we may be looking at a 4-week window potentially on the outside.
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean, I'm just trying to get I hear what Justin's asking, so. Yeah, so again, it's short term and there is money in the budget for this.
Sure. So we'll say a month or 6
Roughly.
weeks, or
Should we
doesn't
say
matter to me.
6 weeks just to kind of give us a little bit of,
Sure.
okay, so 23 an hour for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
That's fine. I just wanted some structure. So
Sure.
No, absolutely. No, looking at it, I got the best estimates I could today, but I think that's the most reasonable I've seen
Yep.
given. And finding the agencies as well.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? We have a motion and a second. Okay, call the vote, please.
Okay, trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Zach, I had a couple other things for you.
Sure.
One is, how's the morale of the team? And two, and it's kind of related, we had established a safety subgroup at the last meeting, and I haven't seen anything come across. So maybe while we have everybody here, might be good to just take a couple minutes and schedule something.
Morale, I would say between myself, Joan, and Jason is pretty high right now. They both realized the strain that we're under, and they both realized that everything's kind of falling out of their shoulders to get done, but they're keeping their heads up and they're working good. They're
Really stepping up.
along well, and yeah, everything's going pretty good at this moment.
And they also were pleased to hear the good news.
Yep, everybody's very thankful for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. They were really happy about that. What we can do is, because Dan, you want to be in on the safety meeting, why don't we offline, we'll circulate some dates to make sure that you can join us. How's that?
I mean, it's not just me, it's everybody.
Yeah, we'll circulate dates to you're the other board member, but it's me and Zach, Joni, Doug. Yeah, we'll circulate the dates. Anything else, Zach?
Nope, that's all I've got for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for all the
Thanks,
hard
Zach.
work, and thank the crew too, because I know
Will do.
it's pretty tight. Okay, next up, treasurer's report.
Okay, Brooklyn unfortunately was not able to join us tonight, so I'll be presenting the report. You received an updated report yesterday and as well today in your updated packet. General fund vouchers were totaling $105,240.32. Sewer fund was $73.54. The main bulk of the bill pay is New York State retirement. That bill is due December 15th. Well, actually, it's due in January, February. If we pay it by December 15th, we receive savings off that. So we always try to make sure we're paying it at that time. So we're presenting it now because our meeting is too close to the due date. So we want to make sure we get it paid and keep, recoup that savings. I can speak tonight. Is there any questions or concerns on anything else in the bill pay?
Yep, yes, Lily.
Thank you. Yes, two things, Dorothea. I'm wondering when the trustees might expect our quarterly report so that we can review where we are currently with our fund balance.
Yeah.
And expenditures. Is that due pretty soon? I sort of remember it about this time.
It is due. I spoke to Mary and Brooklyn, and that was something they were hoping to start going over tonight, but due to circumstances with Brooklyn not being able
Okay.
to attend, I anticipate they'll be here in December and we will hear from them on that. But I was informed to let you know everything's looking great, that there's no overall concerns and everything seems to be on track.
Okay, great, thanks. And the other question is regarding the bill invoice that we received for additional invoice from the Zogland Group. I believe it was invoice 1504 for an additional $2,000.
Mhm.
And I recall that the board had approved a cap of 2,000 on the Zogland retainer, and this seems to be an additional 2,000. So could we have an explanation as to how that occurred and who
No,
approved it? And
No, I think this is the amount. You approved the retainer agreement up to this amount. So this is the bill for the services.
correct, but the last month, in the last bill pay, we also
Mhm.
paid Zogland 2,000 for canal core correspondence. So there seemed to
Oh.
be some redundancy, and it was number 1467 was
Okay.
okay. So I thought we had already paid it, so I didn't know whether this was,
It very well could be a duplication of payments. So what I would suggest the board do is approve the bill pay and with the exception of this one. And I will
Okay.
take it back to Brooklyn and Mary and see if this is duplicate and they just didn't realize and they submitted it twice.
okay. Would you like the numbers again?
Nope,
Okay,
Nope. We can find it. I have it right
Thank
here
you.
and I have a note. We'll take care of it. And
thank you so
We'll
much.
find out what the issue is.
Okay.
Anything else? So many. Okay. All right. We'll have a motion to pay these.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the vouchers as presented with the exception of the one previously noted?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Lanfear.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Roll call. Trustee Keating,
Eating eye.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
trustee Lightgib,
Like, bye.
trustee Lanfair,
Lanfear, aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, I.
Motion passes. Do we want to go ahead and go into the clerks?
What time is, yeah, do you think?
Just 7.
The
can-
only thing I saw in there that I didn't have time to look at on the treasurer's report was it looks like we got the annual increase on healthcare. Is there anything unusual in that?
No, we haven't received the annual increase that'll hit on January's bill.
Okay,
Right now, what I have in here for you is the rates that I was going to go over approving the healthcare for next year for the employees.
okay, that's what I meant.
Yep. Okay. That's why I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding. No, that is my intent to go over that. And I need to get approvals. So, but Mayor Plummer, do you want me to go ahead and just start on my stuff or what would
Yeah.
you like to? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll start with healthcare. Mayor Plummer and I met with Bond. They gave us the rates. The healthcare is projected to go up 9%. This is what they feel is a bounce back with COVID, with people who didn't go to the doctors last year. As you noticed, last year we had like, I think 1% increase. It was very minor in comparison, but people are going now, so they're feeling a bounce back. And dental projected went up 14% for the same reason. No one went to the dentist in the previous year, so now everybody's going, and now there's some problems that happened because nobody went to the dentist. I think that's how they basically explained it to us. The senior plan only went up a minor amount. I think he said 1 to 2%. So everything else, it's pretty much where we projected. We did budget for these increases, so it is covered in our next budget. So is there any additional questions? If I can have that approved for next year?
Is there a motion to approve as presented? Somebody?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Lanfear, second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Okay, trustee Lightgib,
Like, bye.
trustee Lanfair,
Lanfear, I.
Trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
trustee Keating,
I'll abstain. I haven't reviewed it.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, I.
motion passes. The other item, one of the other items I have is the 21-22 village tax surrender. This has to be turned into Monroe County. You received a list of residents who have not paid their tax bill, so I need approval to send this off to the county, but I also need each trustee and the mayor to sign the document. So, I would ask that you please stop by the office tomorrow or Friday, and we'll get this taken care of so I can have this turned in appropriately.
And what was the outstanding amount again, just so the public can hear if they haven't?
Sure. The total with accumulated interest is $17,586.09. This is up from previous years. It's about 5,000 more than I passed last year. I don't know if that's due to COVID or different situations in the world, but that's where we're at, and that's what we anticipate receiving back from the county. The reason we do this, the county, so everybody understands, the village taxes are always paid in full, so the county will make us whole, and this will go on their county tax bill, and they will take the active part of collecting this.
Right. Okay, is there a motion to approve this as presented by the clerk?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second. Oh, sorry, Justin.
You can take it.
Jumping on that tax money.
Wow. Okay. Trustee Lightgib,
Like, bye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, I.
trustee Keating,
Keating, aye.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, I.
motion passes. The next I have is our bond interest payment. This is payment we normally pay in December on our outstanding bond. In, I think it's June, you normally pay a bond payment as well as interest. This payment is just interest in that amount. I'm sorry if I don't have my sheet in front of me.
What
I
was
think
it?
it's like $1,200 or
Or
something like.
1750.
Yes.
All right, it went up a little bit. It did not. So it's $1,750. So if I can have authorization to send this wire in, so again, we'll be all set with the bill.
Is
So
there a
moved.
motion? Oh, thank you. Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Trustee Keating, now here.
Sorry, I was muted. Keating, aye.
Trustee Lightgib,
Like, bye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, I.
trustee Stetser,
That's all right.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, I.
motion passes.
Okay.
The last thing on my list is the 2022 meeting dates. So I am presenting them for board approval so we can get them posted up on our website and move things along for next year.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Like, second.
Roll call.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, I.
trustee Keating,
My only question was December 13th. That's the second Tuesday. Is
Mhm.
that usually candlelight night, or is candlelight night usually the first Tuesday?
First Tuesday is candlelight
Okay.
night.
Okay, then aye.
Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, I.
motion passes. And I'm done with my part of the report.
Did I vote on that one?
Did
If you didn't call me, that's okay.
Did I not?
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's just in case. That's
Yeah.
I'll throw an extra eye
Okay.
in there.
No, we need you.
So
on the
sorry.
record.
So sorry, I get on
No
a roll
worries.
and I think I got enough votes, it's done.
I know you were on a roll. Okay, should we quickly do the minutes then?
Yes, I received
No, 'cause we-
corrections from Mayor Plummer, which address some errors and this and that with
Grammatical.
wording, so we fixed it. Is there anything else? I didn't receive any other comments from the board.
And so the first set of minutes is for the 28th of, is that what it is?
No, it's just August 2nd.
I
We're
mean,
gonna have,
it's August 2nd. Okay.
yep, we have a lot in the queue, and I know we talked about getting things set up, but being short-staffed has put me terribly behind. I do
Yeah.
apologize. Your next meeting, you're probably gonna see it. You're gonna see, I'm not gonna say probably, you are going to see a ton of minutes, I promise.
Okay, brace
So-
yourselves, folks.
And somehow these got lost in the last pass. I'm not sure why. So if we can get them approved and get them moved on.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 2nd?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That's your second.
Justin, you did get it.
Justin, beat you out.
He gotcha.
Need
Okay,
little
trustee
buttons.
Flash. Okay, trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye,
Motion passes.
okay.
I'm done talking for the night.
I don't believe that. Jeff should be joining us in a couple minutes. And his attorney report actually is about our first item, which is 44 Rand. So we'll just give
Oh.
him.
I can give a filler information while we're
We
waiting.
have filler, okay.
I have filler. We are speaking, Zach did mention candlelight night, and the village hall, we are looking to be open for candlelight night, but we'll only be opening the hall for restroom purposes. We intend to do, in the past, we've had musical acts at the village hall and meet and greet and everything else. We don't want to miss out on that, but we want to limit the exposure and keep bringing people inside. So we're going to have the musical acts on the porch, and I want to thank Sophie for her tremendous work on this, and we have our lineup. So I'm happy to let the board know that. We have Sutherland High Schools providing their chorus at 5 o'clock on the steps, followed up by Sutherland High School with their brass band at 5:30. The Fellows will be performing at 6. We have Steve Loth and Michael James performing for us at 6:30.
Woo-hoo.
Woohoo! Allendale Columbia School will be forming at 7. Drastic Measures, they're coming to us from St. John Fisher, and they'll be performing at 7:30. So we're still working out final details, but that is our lineup for candlelight night, and we have a full lineup, and I'm really happy to say we'll be here.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's a good lineup.
Yes, so that's all good news. Obviously, we always say, trustees, please come out and help us meet and greet people, and it's a great time to see everybody, and hopefully it'll be just chilly.
And the Legion will be setting up as well, am I correct?
Yes, the Legion usually sets up in the front, and they do sell the chili and other things, and it's always great to support them. We'll be out there with hot coffee and other things, and we haven't figured out our treats. Normally we do our cookies, but I really feel like the snacks need to be prepackaged. So we're still working out those details, but we will be here.
Oh, and also, do you want to just talk about Veterans Day as well?
Oh, yes. November 11th is Veterans Day, and as always, the ceremony will be over at Veterans Memorial Park at 11 o'clock. And I know the town supervisor and Mayor Plummer will be giving their statements, and it'll be a wonderful event for the veterans. And I say everybody should come out and support our local vets.
And also, just for those in attendance at the meeting, Village Hall is closed for that holiday.
Correct.
Yeah.
We are closed.
Okay, still, oh, Jeff has 2 more minutes. Let's see. Well, maybe we should just talk, Zach, what do you want? We should talk about the bucket truck. We'll skip down to item number 3 on the agenda. And I believe we had brought this before the board just briefly in the past, the need for a bucket truck. Zach, maybe you can speak to the need for that and why it would be important.
Yeah, so we're kind of limited on what we can do aerially. And a lot of the times we're stuck hanging decorations or the flower baskets off of ladders leaning up against poles. So we're trying to find a safer method of doing that. And we think we can do that a lot safer with a bucket truck. So we borrowed a bucket truck from East Rochester, found out that they were considering selling theirs to get a new one. And they are keeping us in mind when it does come up for sale. So trying to keep in touch with them and making sure that, once it does go up for sale, that we have first dibs on it, if
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, and you've made them aware that we're interested.
Yep.
Also, we could potentially share it with the town, and is my understanding that potentially the town would be able to store it for us.
Yes, I reached out to the town. The town said that they would store it for us at their highway garage. And of course, we would, let them use it as needed. Any repairs being made to it, if, something breaks, we'd figure something out. If they break it, then they would fix it. And just a shared vehicle. A lot of the streetlights that I work on, I'm doing it off of a ladder, which is kind of crazy too. So that'll help with that. And
And
hanging
tree
deck
limbs.
installations. Yeah, tree limbs. Instead of trying to cut them off the ground or having to hire a contractor to come through to get them, if we have a hanging branch or something like that. Everything's going up in price, including the contractors. Last time I had someone come in to do an emergency removal of a tree, it cost almost $1,000 for that.
Mhm.
If we have a bucket truck, it would pay for itself pretty quickly, I believe.
And can you speak to the cost of a new truck relative to potentially, and I think we did speak about the cost and the fact that we could pull this out of our budget, and also using some of the ARPA funds, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
So what's the cost of a new one relative to potentially to what we would be looking?
A new one would probably be closer to about $80,000. And the one that East Rochester is offering should come in at under $10,000.
Okay, with the understanding we may need to do some additional repairs just to
Yeah.
make sure it's in good working order, but. a
Yeah,
significant-
we'd have a thorough inspection done on it
Mhm.
before we
Okay.
would consider that, just to see what kind of shape it looks like underneath. So,
And we tested out first and all that. Renee,
Sure.
I saw you had your hand up.
You said what I was gonna say. I
Oh,
wanna-
okay.
Let's know about the cost.
Yeah, the cost, yeah. And it is so much safer. And, I think it's a good piece of equipment and would be put to good use.
oh yeah, so most municipalities at this point are starting to buy back the streetlights from RG&E, which RG&E came to us a few years ago, and I think they threw us a price on what it would cost. I don't remember where that was left off, but if we do in fact end up taking ownership of all the lights and all the maintenance of the
Mhm.
lights, we are going to need something like that regardless. Either that or have a massive budget for an electrical contractor to come through and repair all our streetlights.
Okay.
So if it's something that we
that's
can
the
do
trick.
in-house, yeah. If it's something that we can do in-house, I would prefer it that way.
Okay. Well, so we'll keep you all posted, but we want to let you know that this is out there and it's a good thing. Yes, Justin.
Yeah, I thank you. I can definitely see that this would be helpful in many areas with trimming and putting up decorations and all that sort of thing. I guess I'd like to know a little bit more about other costs with the DPW. I was just looking at the spreadsheet that our former trustee Galusha prepared, and it seems like in 2022 we've got a couple of 6-wheel trucks that are coming up for replacement. And with the trucks that we'd be trading in, we're still looking at almost $250,000 in expenses, I think it was, for those 2 trucks. So I just want to make sure that in terms of the overall budget, we're still factoring that in for the upcoming equipment replacement. And I guess that's my primary concern. It also seems like well, these are useful, if we're talking about using bucket trucks to take down trees, I'm sure that comes with some training to make sure that's done safely. But that's it. I just want to make sure that we're looking at the costs and taking the other upcoming costs into consideration too.
Yeah, the trucks have been put in, every year for like the last 4 or 5 years. I've put the trucks on my wish list for replacement. They're expensive. A full a dump truck set up for plowing and salting, it runs about $200,000. And that was a couple years ago, so it's probably going to be a little more expensive at this point. Yeah, if you get on a rotation of getting new equipment and turning them over quick enough with the discounts that we get from competitive bidding, the amount of money that these trucks would get at auction after 6 to 8 years, the costs for the new vehicle would be minimal after you start that rotation and you get into it. We're gonna have to.
Go ahead. Finish up.
That's my thought right there. That's as far as I'm gonna go.
No, but you really raised an important point, and we've had discussions about this, that, the timing of putting a used piece of equipment on the market can make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you're also talking about, one of the pickup trucks maybe going trading that for maybe an electric or a hybrid, again, looking at some best practices going forward if we're going to be climate smart.
Yeah, the new Ford F-150 Lightning that's coming out, I
Mhm.
think would be a good candidate if they're offering government discounts for those, not probably this year because they're gonna be too new, but the following year is when I'll be approaching that for replacing the pickup that we have. I just wanted to say that the $200,000 or $220,000 that it would cost to buy a new dump truck with a plow setup and a salt package, that's our cost versus what retail would be probably closer to 260, 270. So we're getting a 15 to 20% discount on these vehicles. So when they go to auction, we're almost, if we do it soon enough, that we could sell it for almost what we paid for it.
Yeah,
Someplace.
that's something we have to be aware of and definitely, work on that together for sure. Yeah. Okay, well, that was just bucket truck update, equipment update. Hi, Jeff. So we're going to start with our 44 Rand project, actually 44 and 46. Our seeker declaration. Before we do that, Jeff, did you just want to give maybe your attorney's report, because it really is about, what you and Scott Harder have been working on, just so the board's.
Yes, Scott and I are finalizing the easement language. He sent some over and I've been reworking it. I know Trustee Letkin said there was a typo. If you want to send that over to me, that'd be great. Let me know where you think that is. If I've missed it, I don't want to miss it.
Sure thing. Yeah.
So Scott wants to have all these ducks in a row.
Mhm.
Easement signed, seeker done before he submits to the state agencies.
Yeah, yeah. So, the easements are, coming up sooner than later. You guys are tweaking and tuning and moving it along, and thank you for that.
Yeah, they'll be done, maybe tomorrow or Thursday, I would imagine.
Oh, okay, okay, great. So we do have to conduct seeker tonight for this project. So with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to declare the 44 and 46 Rand Place project a type 2 action for seeker. Is there a second? Hello?
I'll second.
Okay. Call the vote.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're moving forward and I thank the board for that. That's great.
Mayor Plummer, before we
yeah.
move forward, we did receive a Q&A comment
Oh,
at the
sure.
end there.
Uh-huh.
Just to follow up with Zach. This is from Christine Millet. She wanted to say, on the topic of streetlights, is there any way that the village can provide support in getting streetlight on the corner of South Main and Stonegate repaired? I've called RG&E numerous times without success. I've lived there for 2 years now and light has never worked. It is very dark spot on the street. And since the entrance was recently been rebuilt, it would be great to light the area more so that there are no future accidents there. I appreciate any thoughts you have and any support you can offer.
So I've called that light in to RG&E numerous times. The light was actually slated for replacement. And they went as far as to call in a utility stakeout because they had a contractor that was going to go in there, tear the light out and replace it. But that's as far as it went.
Do you want to tell people what a utility stakeout is, just so people
Yeah,
listen?
just underground utility locations of gas lines, water lines, sewer lines, and electric lines. So that's usually what a contractor will call in just before they're ready to dig. So that was what I thought was the cue for the replacement of that light, but it never happened.
This is so frustrating. Zach and I constantly work on this. I've had a street light that's been out between my house and the next property. I can't even remember since when. The town has the same issues and so do several other municipalities. We're not alone in this. I've recently received the names of some people a little bit higher up in RG&E, and I have no problem calling them and will do so. We need to escalate this, and they'll get the full list of the entire, all over the village of all the lights that are out, because there's a number of them and it's a concern. Yeah.
And State Street Bridge too.
Oh, State Street Bridge. A lot of finger pointing.
That's gonna be one of the things I discussed with Kevin
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, which will be great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions, Dorothea? Yeah.
Yep, they're coming in. The person did not provide their name, they just put M. So
Can we have their name and address?
I'll ask them to resubmit their name and address, and I'll
Yeah,
be happy
leave
to
that on the
read.
record. Thank you.
Yep. But Christine did follow up with, I have no idea you were all working on this so diligently. I appreciate the effort. If there is anything residents can do, please let us know. So, and as soon as the other person chimes back in.
Harassed RG&E. That's all you can do.
Right, I know. Oh.
Yeah, do they have, so you know how you can, I mean, anybody can report that the light's out, right?
You can report it, you can report
So
it right on their
we-
website.
Right. So I think that would be a good recommendation. That's what you told me to do last year when the one in front of my house kept going out. So I think that's probably a good backup to the efforts that we're doing as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also Zach, just to interrupt really quickly, because Zach, maybe you can speak to this. Every street light on the pole, doesn't it have a little tag with a number to identify it?
Most of them do, yes. Some of them,
That helps RG&E.
but all you really have to do is just, if you don't know the number of the streetlight itself, just, the address closest to the street,
Yeah,
Yeah. and then make the number up. It doesn't matter. Just, keep submitting it. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for us to put a link to that outage.
oh, let's do that. Well, let's do a post.
On our website?
Let's put it on our website, both. Yeah, I'm liking that. If we could only robocall that number over and over again. Yeah, it's, Christine, thank you for asking about that. We share all the same concerns. We are really trying to work on this and get some things turned around with RG&E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, follow up, Peggy Brzee is the person with the question is, what is the estimated cost for 44 Rand project and how is this being paid for? Is it in the budget?
Yeah, it is in the budget. All of that was made public. It's online with the backup material from, what was that meeting? Was it 2 meetings ago, I think? But we certainly can forward that information directly to you, Peggy. I think the entire project, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, did it come with about 25 to 28,000, I think it was, maybe 30? Jeff, you're nodding, yeah. We do have money in the budget. There was money already set aside in the budget this year. We also have the ARPA funds from the federal government that are specifically directed towards infrastructure, and this meets the criteria for the use of the ARPA funds. Yeah, Jeff?
And the two property owners are kicking in 25%
Yep.
of the cost on the south side.
Yeah.
That estimate was about 5,000 of the total.
Yes, Lily, did you have a question?
I do. You indicated the ARPA funds would be a good fit for this project. Wouldn't they also be a good fit for infrastructure on Shane or on South Street for that huge
Yeah.
project? Why wouldn't we use the money there?
We are going to be using some money on other projects as well. Understand that the ARPA funds, what was the entire amount, Dorothea, you may remember, was 170?
Not even like
Not even.
130, not like 135,000. It was like
35,000.
65,000 we got this year and 65,000 next year. Currently, the codicil with the ARPA funds with infrastructure is it can be used towards sewer or storm sewer. It
Right.
cannot be used for straight road work.
Can't be used
So
for both.
yeah, they're still working to try to loosen that up because a lot of municipalities like us have other projects that road replacements that would be great for the use of it. But right now that is a limit. It is not allowed to be used for. So when you're looking at using ARPA, this project actually fits all the criteria. So why wouldn't you use it towards that? And you could gear your other funding towards something else if needed.
And again, this, you know, and Zach, maybe you can speak to this, if I'm correct, right where we're doing this project in Rand Creek, we have all kinds of utilities directly running underneath where that tree stump is, that tie directly into our infrastructure in the village. Am I correct with that?
Technically, it's a private sewer that's running up the hill,
Right.
but it still affects our sewer if something does happen. So we want to try to limit any kind of damage that would be done to that as quick as possible.
And
If it
also, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if it collapses, it's gonna affect everybody around there, including.
It'll back
you know,
everybody
even
up.
Downstream of it, backups into the sewer system are quite possible if the pipe actually breaks. Because now you have a creek that's gonna be flooding into that pipe, or raw sewage pouring out of the pipe into the creek. So we have a stake in this.
Right, and also, part of that negotiation was that the village would have the oversight from that point forward of that piece, which is helpful. So we can monitor that. Yeah. Oh, Lily, was your hand up again? Yeah.
It was, thank you. As Zach pointed out, and I wanted us to be very, very clear about this regarding issues that we have faced in the past on Stonegate Lane specifically, regarding private sewer connections, and how it ties into the village, and money that was spent to repair or replace, and ran into some legal problems because of that. So I wanted to be clear what the parameters are, that limitations are as far as the village's involvement regarding the private sewer, which goes into this area, and what you're saying is going to affect our infrastructure. It's not, the repair is not, I want to understand this, the repair is not because of our infrastructure, it's a repair anticipatory of what might be coming from the private sewer. Is that what I understood you to say, Zach?
The repair needs to be made because a gabion basket, the retaining wall for the creek bank on the roadside of the creek is failed.
And that's owned by the village. That is on village property.
Yeah.
So we would need to do the repair anyway. And sorry to jump in, but Scott Harder addressed this with all of us in a meeting, and also I think he made it pretty clear from an engineering standpoint that you did not just want to shore up one side of the embankment. It wouldn't protect the utilities running underneath going into our main infrastructure. Am I correct, Zach?
Yeah.
We would need to shore up both sides.
Both sides need to be addressed. The erosion has led to, one side failing. And because that side failed, it then diverted water over the other side and started causing failure on that side. So it's to protect all parts of it. If we only do the ones, who's to say that the side that we actually do doesn't end up collapsing because of something that isn't done on the other side. So while you're in the project, just do it once and do it right.
And solve the problem, and also have the future oversight and monitoring of that from the village.
Right.
Jeff, you had your hand up. Jeff?
Yeah, I don't want to, Lily had her hand up. I don't want to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your
Thank
hand
you.
back, Lily.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Yes, I think that my question was also about the ARPA funds. They have to be for infrastructure, specifically sewer and not road work. But what we're not talking about sewer work here for the village. The creek, the Gabions and the creek, is that considered sewer work? That's
Storm-
drainage.
Stormwater.
drainage.
It is
Right.
allowed for stormwater and drainage.
Okay, thank you. That's the
Yeah.
clarification I was looking for. Thank you.
Yep. And Jeff, did you want to? Yes. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
just want to point out that it was not only the private sewer that was impacted. There are other utilities. Scott indicated there's other utilities running under that part of the creek, as well as protecting our street. That's the combined purpose of this project,
Yeah, there are
as I recall from Scott's explanation.
gas lines supplying gas to all the houses up the hill, water lines, and I think it's more than one water line that's running through there, because I think the split is out at the street, and then individual water lines are running through that immediate area to get to each house going up the hill. So water, gas, sewer.
Okay. Oh, yes, Dorothea, there's some.
Additional comment from Peggy Brzee, oversight over private sewer or other essential utilities. I think that's towards the repair.
Okay.
That's the comment.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it sounds like we're overseeing the whole thing. We have concern for the utilities.
Yeah, we would want to have oversight. I mean, it protects the integrity of our infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that's a positive thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, either Zach or Jeff, but that was something that we were working towards because of just the specific situation.
Yeah, the issue, one of the things that really started with the utilities that are underground is the ash tree stump that is in the bank, and not going in there and being able to just rip it out because we're afraid that the roots are going to be tied up into those utilities. So it's going to have to be surgically removed. And that is something that's going to have to be done as we go in there to restore the other side of the bank. The tree stump root system is what's caused the failure of the gabions.
And the
So-
tree is a tree stump because who cut the tree down? What, the tree was cut down?
The village cut the tree down.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep. So the village took ownership of it, and said that that it was our responsibility to take down, and we'll get rid of the stump as well. So it's just not a quick, easy thing to pull out of there. So while the rest of the construction's going on, we're shoring up the one side, the ash tree stump is on the private side of the bank, and that has to be removed by the village as well. So while we're in there tearing that up, we're just gonna go in there and shore it up a little bit better. So this is unlikely to happen, you know.
And so when this is shored up, with everything that you're talking about and everything, you know, and you're reiterating things that have been covered in prior meetings, what would be the sort of the lifespan? Would it last for how long roughly, once this is all done?
That's hard to say because I think the gabions were expected to last, you know, a lot longer than they did. So I can't really say for sure.
Could it be another 10 years, 20 years?
30 years, I would hope.
30 years? Okay, yeah, just so we have an understanding that, you know, this is significant. The investment we're making now really can last for several decades in our village.
Yeah, I'm pretty
And
sure
protect the
that
infrastructure.
the same treatment along Rondequoit Creek in sections, and it's been there for at least 30 years, and it doesn't look like it's gone anywhere. So I would say it's probably going to last a lot longer than that. But
Yeah, because they've also.
I'm an engineer, so I can
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions before we move on? All set? Okay. Thanks so much. The next up, setting of the public hearing for the marijuana law. And Dorothea, did you want to talk about the dates and?
Yep, right now, the board had requested the date of public hearing, if we move to our typical timeframe, would be December 14th, and we would set these for 7 p.m. So, and I think Jeff presented these have aged appropriately, and there's 2 separate lots.
Yes, Dan.
So in this one, I'm really glad we're getting this done in time and with the 2 laws. But there's a third component as well that really has to be done at the same time, which is the execution of our plan. It may not be the actual, obviously the actual vote, but our intention to go to a referendum vote at that same time. And if we don't have that, then I wouldn't want to vote on the 2 laws.
I think that had been discussed and that was the intention. Renee?
I believe, and Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong, that we do the resolution to send it to referendum the same night that we would pass the laws at the hearing. Is that correct, Jeff?
If you wish to do it, you can do it the same night.
Yeah.
So we don't
how
need to
we-
do anything
sorry.
now.
Hang on.
now. Okay.
So.
I was going to say, we don't need to do anything about that resolution tonight, because that doesn't need to age unlike the laws for the hearing.
Yes,
Let's-
and
let's-
we need to write it.
It's just a simple motion.
It's a motion to take it to a public referendum with a
To,
with a date.
Okay, Jeff, so we don't have to have the wording of the actual referendum done at that time?
No,
Okay,
no. No, it's a motion to send it to permissive referendum.
Yeah,
okay. And do we know what the date of that referendum would be?
we can set it that night, and it has to be, there's a time frame, and Dorothea, maybe you can speak to that. It's no less than 10 days and no more than 60 days.
Correct.
Is the window.
Yes,
Which-
and I don't think you want to set the date for that referendum that night. I understand what I'm going to need to do is reach out to the Board of Elections and find the appropriate date that they can conduct the referendum. So
So-
we're gonna want to give me time to go consult with them and get that date.
So the
we
motion
will-
could be to send it to public referendum,
Correct.
pending, and then with the understanding that the village clerk will reach out to the Board of Elections and we'll be able to finalize that date.
And in a
Correct.
perfect world, since we've got a month, we would know what that date is.
That
So that
would
we
be
can
absolutely-
be super clear about this all in one fell swoop.
Let me put it this way. I've reached out to Board of Elections several times. Getting callbacks have been difficult because I know they were doing their most recent election. So I'm hoping that I'll be getting callbacks sooner. And I will make every effort to reach out to them and see when we can have that date. I'm not sure the criteria they're going to want before they set that referendum. So I will reach out. I just, trust me, I'm dealing with another agency and it isn't always easy to get those answers.
Okay,
Yeah, the Board of Elections, I think, has also had some staffing issues as well. I've reached out to them about the same matter, both Dorothea and I have. So, we're really trying to push that forward.
Okay.
Because I think we all want the same thing. Understand also, other villages, may be doing the same thing, but you can certainly take it to public hearing and hold the public hearing. And then the other villages are going to be making their motion to go to referendum. They can do it in January, they could do it, whenever. It's just, I understand, what we've all discussed, and I think that's a good thing, but there's plenty of other options, but. we can just-
okay. And the ideal scenario is that we do it all at the same time and it is one action in the public eye and we have time to prepare for that. So that's wonderful. You said that I believe we're all on the same page about this. I'm not sure that we are. So what I'd like to do is, I don't know whether it's not a binding vote, but I would like to propose that is our intention to send it to referendum pending details. It's obviously not a binding thing. I just want to kind of take the temperature of where everybody is on it because I don't want any surprises at the public hearing. So I would make a motion that at the time that we address the local law and opt out of both of the lounges and the dispensaries, that at that same time we have a vote to send it to referendum with as much detail around that as possible. So that's all sort of in one meeting.
Justin, yeah.
A point of discussion on that. It seems a little bit strange to me to be taking a vote on a future vote. And I understand, the temperature gauge thing, but I would prefer to defer that. And I think we've discussed this issue at length. We may not all agree, but I would rather vote on something rather than voting on something that we're going to vote on.
Yeah, so there was a motion and looking for a second. We did this a lot under Bob Corby, where you just it's just sort of a straw poll, just making sure where people are, because it's a big decision.
Okay, there's a motion.
But if we second it, if I second your motion, we're all gonna have to vote.
Yeah, and it's
Correct.
just, it's not a binding thing. It's just
Yeah,
an
I
intent
gotcha.
that this is what we're going to do.
I'll second your motion since there's one on the floor.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
I'll abstain.
trustee
Why?
Lampier,
I would abstain. I don't have enough information. Thank you.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye, because I think that's what we've all discussed, so either way.
Motion passes.
What additional information could we help you obtain, Lily?
I never have felt comfortable with this concept of straw votes. I know that you've mentioned that it's occurred before, but it's never been something that I have been comfortable with. When things change, you get more information, you don't know, it ties you in. A vote is a vote. And this concept of straw vote is casual. We shouldn't even have done a roll call. You could have just polled people and said, how do you feel about it? That's a straw vote. But to make a motion, second it, and then vote, that's a vote. So I don't know. I wasn't clear what we were voting on. So I abstained. Thank you.
No, and I appreciate that input. And you know what? I'm thinking, Dorothea, maybe what we'll do, and Jeff, maybe you have some thoughts on this. I mean, it isn't binding, evidently. I wanted to go to public referendum. So, Jeff?
That was a binding vote.
Okay.
And I was about ready to ask Dorothea
Ah,
to read back the motion, so we'll know what was affirmed.
That's a difficult task to do.
Well,
It-
maybe you don't
It
have to
was
read
the
it back now.
intention.
It was the intention to set a permissive referendum at the night of the determining the outcome of the local laws presented on that night. Non-binding.
So,
Was the intention to set,
A permissive referendum depending on the outcome of the local laws. Am I saying that right, Dan?
Yeah, it's close enough. It captures the intent of what the purpose was of raising it in the first place.
well, I think Lily did raise a good point, and I think Jeff did too. Do we want to touch base with Nikon?
no,
you
the question is what, the motion is, it is the intention of the board to set have a referendum
Set a date.
on the issue of the opt-out. I mean, that's, it may be, I mean, it's a dependent action. I mean, it depends on the opt-out occurring.
Yeah.
But once the opt-out occurs, I think that the board has decided to have a referendum.
Right,
Well, hang on.
right. So it's just an if statement. But it's not even binding. It was just.
It is binding. If
It
you
is binding if we
opt out,
do it.
you're going to have a referendum.
Yes, Justin.
If I may, I respectfully disagree with this here. I think that it was clear. This is a mess, in my
is.
opinion. But I think that, in my opinion, what Trustee Keating was expressing is that this is the way that we think that we'll vote. It was not in that way. It's non-binding because it's indirect. I don't think we should have done it. I think that it's very unclear. But I think that if we go back and listen to it, my understanding is that. It's a future intent to vote in a certain way, which doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah, and you can change your intention potentially. Yes, Jeff? Jeff, yeah.
Dorothea, will you mark, is there a way for you to mark the spot here so we can
Let's do
get
that.
an
Yep, I
exact
can.
transcript of what transpired?
Yes, we can. I can get that to you this week.
Well, I mean, we've got until December 14th to figure out what we did, but
I'll try to let everybody know
felt-
what they did right away.
it felt like an action to me.
Yeah, and I
Oh, but the
believe-
language described intention.
So that's why we want to get
Yeah,
the exact.
that's
get the
why
transcript.
we need to go back and look at the language because it was intention.
Right. Justin or Trustee Lake, I'm sorry about that. His statement was correct. I believe it was intention and I'm ready to vote tonight. I've been pretty clear about that. So I was comfortable letting my intent be known. It sounds like others are not ready to make that intent known, but it's intent, not, I don't think we were voting on it tonight. It was, but we'll have to see what what NICOM says.
Okay, so we can sort that out. We'll sort
Yeah.
that out.
And it was messy. I mean, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I mean, there was a motion on the floor. Do you just let it die? Okay, all right.
Well, you
fair
can
enough.
let it die.
Okay,
Yeah, but.
that doesn't feel right to me because someone has a, but yeah, okay.
Well, but the other side of this is, I feel strongly we should go to public referendum. We've had consistent discussions about that. So, okay, we're going to sort that out. We'll get back with the board as quickly as possible. We'll turn it around. But we do want to set the date for, what was it again? December?
December 14th at 7 PM. And you want to, and Turner, I'm going to have you correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to want to do two motions for each, one
Motions.
for each law.
Right. So just so the public understands, there's two different laws that we're looking at. One is the law to opt out initially of the on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the village of Pittsburgh. And then the second law, the second motion is going to be opting out at this point of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries within the village, if I'm correct. Yes, Jeff?
The motion is to set a public hearing for the consideration of those
Mhm.
laws. Okay.
Yeah, yes, but I just want people to understand they're two separate laws with two separate motions that we'll be setting, for the hearing. So anybody want to make a motion, or do you want me to, or what do you want me to?
I'll make a motion to move those two laws to public hearing on December 14th. Uh-oh,
One at a
two
time.
different motions.
Separate-
Right, sorry,
separate
the
motions.
first one to opt out of dispensaries.
I'm sorry. To Jeff's point, the motion is to consider opting out of the dispensaries. I just
But
want to be
the
clear
motion's
about
to
that.
set the hearing to consider.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, okay.
That's different
That's-
than opting out.
Okay, I would like to amend my original motion. I would like to make a motion to set the hearing on December 14th to consider the law. I don't have the number in front of me now.
I
But
don't
to-
have them.
Okay, to opt out of dispensaries.
I will second.
Second, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There's a second roll call.
Trustee Lightgib,
Like, have I?
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go to public hearing on December 14th at 7 PM for the consideration of adopting a local law pursuant to Cannabis Law 131 to opt out of licensing and establishing on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the village of Pittsburgh. Is there a second?
Like, have second.
Second.
Roll call?
Okay, trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Like, have I?
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, aye.
motion passes.
Okey doke. Moving on, just we want to take a corrective action. This is item number 4. When the motion was made at our last meeting, we neglected to include the name. So I would entertain a motion of hiring the part-time office assistant, Susan Loda. Is there a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
That's a temporary position, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that, I would just wanted to amend your.
Yeah, well,
motion.
we're amending, we're adding in the name. It's just a corrective action. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, sure.
Yeah, so I would just like to understand where this, well, first of all, let me say that I worked with Ms. Loda on the planning board, and I think very highly of her skills. I think she's very qualified for many things. I did just have a question though, in terms of the process. Where did this application come from? Was there a job posting, or was this brought in personally by somebody on the board? How did we find out that she was interested in the position?
Dorothea, do you want to speak to the hiring and the posting and what this meant? And also, this is pursuant to a discussion that we had with the board at our last meeting. And you were all made aware of the situation, but Dorothea can certainly fill you in.
I believe on October 12th, the board had a discussion because we had a resignation in the office that relayed to hiring an emergency part-time person for the village staff, because we're pretty much down to me and Brooklyn and Steve, which he does not do any of these items. Steve has his whole world, and I appreciate it, and I don't want to go into his stuff, nor does he want to go into mine. We have done this in the past with these positions, considering an emergency act. This happened in the past when I was out with knee replacement. We had an employee resign, leaving just Mary in the office at that time. We brought in Joanne Shannon. She was hired on an emergency basis. It was the same situation. So the board took similar action. It's almost like a mirror. Both actions were the same. The problem with the action that was taken on the 12th, the name was neglected. So that is my awareness of the situation. We have not posted for emergency personnel in the past. This has been someone that, knew the office, was able to slip right in and help us out right away. It's not a training situation. So
Susan had expressed interest to me in coming back, not coming, but and I'll speak to Joanne Shannon in a minute, but Susan had expressed interest saying, geez, if there's any kind of, work or part-time office work, I'm looking for that. I had contacted Joanne Shannon even prior to this, just to see if at some point, maybe if we needed part-time help, would she come back? And again, we're going over a discussion that we've already had, but happy to just make people aware. She's moved on. So this was an opportunity. This is a case of need. We are understaffed in our office. So this is just simply a corrective action.
and we are posted for the full-time position. It's just going to take time to go through resumes, interview. There's a process. And, I'm hoping to have it filled by January. I really am, the sooner than later situation here. Plus it's getting a person trained. Right now I'm dealing with every village board. I have 3 board meetings, this week. Those are minutes and things that have to be done along with every other duty. So bringing in part-time emergency staff to help answer phone, help me with minutes. That's essential right now. I can't do it all, nor will I. I'm just going to state it.
And someone who understands, certainly the structure of Village Hall. So, yes, Dan.
So just really wanted to say how grateful I am to Susan for agreeing to do this on a part-time basis and dropping whatever she's doing to lend a hand. And so just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I'm grateful too. She's tremendous help. And I want people to understand, Dorothea is doing the job of more than one person, and always has, but the volume of work and information and phone calls that go through the office on a daily basis, I don't think a lot of people are really aware of. I certainly am, because I'm here every day. It's extraordinary, and big shout out to Dorothea for handling more than one person should have to handle. Yes, Justin.
Right. So I appreciate that the village is doing a lot of work, and we have had someone recently resign, so there's an extra burden. We just got finished with a discussion about the DPW, about hiring somebody from a temp firm to fill an emergency need, and we haven't talked about that here. And Mayor, just to be perfectly honest here, my concern is that this is coming in, it seems, through a personal relationship, a personal friendship, and it's a political supporter. And I think we should talk about these things too. As a municipality, as a board, we have a responsibility to represent all of our constituents and make sure that the office staff is unbiased. And I think that we should talk about these issues so that we're making sure that we're hiring from a diverse applicant pool, so that we're not favoring people based on personal relationships. And it's in that sense, I think that it's really something related to the fiduciary responsibility for the village. So again, nothing related to this person. I think she's extremely qualified and very intelligent. But I'm just wondering, do we have a resume? There is not even a resume included with this packet. So it seems that there is no discernible process that's been followed that we've used in other pipelines, even for appointed boards.
Yeah, I guess degrees from Columbia and Harvard don't count. Okay, I'm stunned. On one
Do we-
hand, she's
do we have a
qualified, but
resume?
on the other hand, somehow this is political, when in fact.
Do we have a
We
resume?
barely, oh my God, my goodness. Yes, we have a resume.
Has it been distributed to the board for this position?
This was, I don't know how else to say it. We had this discussion prior to this. This is supposed to be simply be a corrective action. The board unanimously thought she was qualified and we should move forward. And now here we are somehow coming up with all these political motives. We don't have enough people in our office right now. We need to have people help answer phones and just do administrative work. It's nothing more than that. Yes, Dan, your hands up, and then Steve.
Yeah, so talking about fiduciary responsibility doesn't fly in this. When we can get somebody at an hourly rate that doesn't have to pay a premium on with the temp service. I just don't agree that it's more responsible to go to a temp service where we just learned, we're paying DPW staff $16 an hour and there's a $7 an hour markup for a temp service. This is a temporary position. It is not a permanent one. And it seems an ideal solution.
Yes, Steve, you had a comment then, Lily.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, since she's been there, there's been 5 incidents already where Dorothea was tied up with other items. I had to go do inspections or had an appointment with Blade, and Susan was able to be there to answer the phones and take care of the office. If we didn't have anybody, I would either have to give up an appointment or reschedule, and it's not prudent for the village. She's helping fill a gap right now that is very needed.
Thank you. Yes, Lily.
Thank you. I agree with all of that, everything that everyone has said so far. But I would I request that perhaps the board would have a discussion regarding the hourly rate, how many hours, is this part-time? Are there benefits involved?
Lily, I'm going to interrupt right now. We had that discussion. We came out and we made a
I do.
motion, and it was a part-time position, which goes up to roughly 30 hours, and it was at $17.50 an hour. Does anybody else on the board remember that discussion that we had? Anybody? Okay, we're getting nods. So this has been covered. What has become simply a corrective action to name Susan as the person that we all wanted to hire has now become somehow completely something else. And it's concerning. And I think it's concerning to even have this go forward.
Well, first of all, don't read it more into what I just stated. You're blending
Okay,
me.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I will not.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Okay. But
I acknowledge that absolutely, as I said in the last meeting, and I brought up the 2 names, Joanne Shannon was one of them. And I understand the urgency here, and I'm on board with all of that. I apologize that I did not remember. I'm going to use the booster card here. I got boosted yesterday and I'm sick as a dog.
oh, Lily.
So I'm not recalling, my recall is not 100% right now. But I didn't recall the conversation that we had regarding how many hours were involved and what the pay rate was. And you've clarified that, and I appreciate that. I think that we will know, and maybe we should talk about, as you said, putting the date on your hope for January, that maybe the board could discuss putting a little bit of a date on it, an end date, and saying, then we'll reassess and maybe post for a part-time position in January if we have not found a deputy clerk by that time. And in fairness to what Trustee Lekeb has pointed out, then that is satisfied, that the board has done their due diligence and posted for that position and move forward in that fashion. But right now, for emergency purposes, that Susan Loda would fill the position for in a temporary fashion until January. Does that sound fair?
Well, right now we have a different motion. I don't know. It depends on when we can hire the clerk. But Lily, I just have a quick question for you. How long have you known Joanne Shannon?
On a personal level, you mean? Or,
Yeah.
huh? I guess probably 40 years.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Because
Hey, can I
we all know
respond
each other.
Can I respond to what Lily just said?
Sure. And
Lily,
then
that's an interesting idea of setting setting an end date or that kind of thing. I'm always for that, and we can always extend it if we need to. And I would recommend that it's a little farther than January because the holidays are going to get in the way. So February, March, sure. Set a date, fine.
Okay. Okay, yes, thank you. Yes, Justin.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion on this. I realize this is a sensitive subject, but I do think it's worth discussing. The notion of one other issue that I'm seeing with this is that Ms. Loda has a role on the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, which is currently involved in a very important legal case for the village. She's the acting chair in terms of 75 Monroe. So while I realize that we may be paying a premium for some kind of a temporary assistance in the office, I think that, the fact that we're introducing this this tension where she has a discretionary role on one board and then she's supposed to act and represent everyone in the office on the other hand, is something that this board should seriously consider. So I do appreciate, putting a fixed term on this. I would ask our counsel, Mr. Turner, in terms of civil service, given that this was not posted, given that this is for an emergency and we have no resume or anything, what's the limitation of the laws in terms of having this position filled?
First of all, I'd like
Point
to
of
say,
correction.
first of all, you just received some information. You had received some information that in fact the chair of the PZBA in the past also worked for this office doing grant writing. You do understand that. And you also know that Joanne Shannon not only serves on the PZBA, but also on the committee for 75 Monroe. So I find it interesting that somehow we're singling out or parsing this, and you all have received information to that effect. Dorothea, you had your hand up, and then Jeff.
I did send out an email to a similar question from trustee Lampier, where I did reach out to NICOM, and I believe Jeff did follow up with NICOM as well, that there is no conflict of interest. And to be honest, the office to make sure there isn't any, Susan will not be working on anything related to the planning board. If it's a planning item, I'll be handling all those right now. There is no need to do that. We can space that out. I have plenty of other actions and things that can be done without having her deal with those documents. So it's not that difficult for the office. We don't vote on anything. She won't be touching anything planet. And there's no conflict. And there's no problem with civil service. This is your hire. This isn't a civil service hire. This isn't a posting. This is an appointment. Since it's part-time, it's not something that requires to be posted. It's nothing pulling off a list. That's a more detailed thing. So this doesn't even rise to that.
Yes, Jeff, did you want to add anything to that?
I was going to confess my total ignorance of civil service law. But I could have saved myself that because Dorothea answered the question.
Sorry.
I mean, I think things have been asked and answered. And I hope everybody is clear enough on that. Susan could actually work on anything in the office based on what NICOM, how NICOM responded. But Dorothea is correct in terms of a sense of, propriety. She does no work for the PZBA. There's plenty of other work to do. So yeah, that's how it's been left. Yes, there is a motion and there is a second.
Ready for a roll call?
Yep.
Trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
No.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, moving on. We wanted to talk about South Street, the South Street project, and financing. And I just wanted to let the board and the public know, and I think I had brought it up in a few meetings back, that there are funds available through Senator Brauch's office. And so I sent in a grant letter, a request regarding South Street for a request for $80,000 to do the sidewalks along South Street. And this would mean bringing our sidewalks properly up to code and also to ADA compliance. And I also added on, based on conversations with Zach, and actually Scott Harder, our village engineer, the request for an additional $20,000 to have proper curbing and sidewalks, again, brought up to code and with ADA compliance along Wood Street. Because as we all know, Wood Street's been pretty problematic. So we'll see how that shakes out. Yes, Lily.
Thank you. Are these matching funds or are they delayed payment? We pay up front and then we're reimbursed?
Yeah, that's typically how the grant does work.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know, pretty much like most municipal grants. Dorothea, did you want to add something to that?
To be honest, to move forward with this project with using the funds we have and looking at budgeting for this, we should take a deeper dive in January or even earlier. My suggestion to the mayor was to bring in our financial advisors to discuss the possibility of short-term bans, because as Lily, you brought up, we have to pay this out and wait for reimbursement, which can take 1 year to 2 years. And giving the state, our fund balance is much better, but I don't think we're in a position to put that money out for the project right away. So with doing a short-term ban, although we'll incur those costs, we'll be able to divert those payments until the money comes in, then we can pay off the bans and then we can look at our next project. It's just a way to move forward and accomplish some of the projects we need to get done.
Yeah, thank you. That you were much clearer than I would have been. Yes, Stan.
So real quick, just some history. We talked about this a couple years ago. I raised it as an idea and it was met with question marks. And then maybe a year later, Frank raised it and everybody thought it was a pretty good idea. And seems like an ideal way to use a ban. And we've really been kicking the can down the road on that South Street work. And this would really solve that problem.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think it's a realistic approach. And what I think works in our favor is that we are looking exclusively really at grant funding where we know we will be reimbursed and be able to pay it down. You know, any other circumstance, I think, you know, would give us greater pause. But I think this actually creates opportunities for us that we wouldn't normally be able to take advantage of. So, you know, but anyway, I think really in terms of action items, Dorothea is going to reach out to our financial advisors. We're going to start to get some additional information. We'll start bringing this back to the board. And as you say, taking that deeper dive and looking at how we would structure this going forward to get some of these bigger projects done. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? It was just more of an update, and this is where we are, and we'll keep you posted when we hear back from Senator Brock's office as well. Okay, great. Thanks so much. All right. Next up, selective insurance recommendations for public safety at our DPW facilities. We had, I guess, sort of a walkabout a while back with a representative from our insurance company, and it was with Dorothea and Zach. And that she really went through actually the whole property and the perimeters as well, and made some recommendations. I think you all have the letter, and also for the public, that letter, I believe, it has been publicly posted.
Yep.
So, you know, Dorothea, maybe you want to chime in too, because I know you've had a little more contact with them than I have.
Yep, the concern is, and this is something, and even Zach can speak to this, this is an overall concern even for the DPW employees around the facility, and noting anything can happen. We have big trucks and people are walking right through the DPW facility and our trucks are backing up. It's an accident waiting to happen. Selective does our liability insurance and everything involved around there. So it was wise for them to take a look, and they're in agreement. We need better posting. We need fences. We need to isolate our facility. And Zach can state this, most DPW facilities, the public can't walk right through. That poses a huge problem, and it's a liability for us. So we really need to address this. We need to take some actions immediately to secure the facility, to protect the public as well as our employees, because the last thing I think one of our employees wanted to have happen is to be moving a vehicle and hit somebody or hit a child. And to the public, when you're back there or you're near that area, you really need to recognize that is the DPW facility. There's, yes, I understand the trails and everything are there, but you need to respect the facility boundaries, and that is not happening. So we have to find a way to help the public do that.
Yeah, and you know what? Yes, Lily, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it may be helpful. I'm just going to read just a couple of things from the letter for the public, because I think it really does very specifically address those concerns. The following suggestions are additional signage, big and bold. This would include wording such as private property, authorized vehicles, visitors only, no trespassing, heavy equipment in use. There should also be signage on the trail in the arboretum behind that directs the hiker to stay on the trail as opposed to cutting through the back section of the DPW area. And there should also be additional signage at the other entrance to the hiking trails to direct hikers properly as opposed to cutting through the DPW area. The other recommendation was a better definition of the trail. And Zach, maybe you can speak to that a little bit too. And due to the previous access road to the rear of the property, it appears that the trail has a fork, which actually leads to the DPW buildings. Their recommendation is barriers or some type of a natural or man-made should be added in, along with signage alerting the hiker, again, that this is a DPW area and is a secured area. Again, also additional fencing. Some fencing at the edge of the rear parking area should be installed also to secure equipment. So the public doesn't have access to that equipment. And they also recommended cameras, placement of additional cameras around the facility for security. That's just an overview, just so you know, anybody attending the meeting tonight just understands what was being discussed. Zach, I know you want to add in something, but Lily, you had your hand up. Yeah.
I did. I don't, here's my memory again, don't recall ever having a conversation previously that this was a concern. I would have hoped that it would have been brought to the board previously that there was a concern regarding safety of the public walking around the DPW, because of course, as we all know, it's always been that way. And not that it makes it right, I'm just saying it's always been that way, and that it wasn't brought to our attention that it was a concern. So that was one of the questions I would have. Is there a way to have a map made so that we can clearly understand what the parameters are and what that would look like and where the money would come from for the fencing and the signs and the cameras? And it just sounds big. It sounds like a big project.
Some of it has actually already been done, and Zach can really speak to that, because I know with signage, you know, Zach, you've been working on that as well. So Zach, would you like to chime in on that a little bit?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the point that this hasn't really been a topic of discussion in the past. I think with the addition of the town park system, it's really drawn a lot more people through our area. We've always had people that have walked around back there and through our DPW facility, but a lot of it in the past has been residents of Grove, Elm, Vine Street, High Street, in that area. And we're all pretty familiar with each other. But just in the last year and a half or so, there's been a pretty heavy uptick in the amount of pedestrians that have been using our facility and to connect with the trails. So in a sense, it is kind of new with the amount of people that have come through there, but it's not a new situation. I believe we have had these discussions in the past, but just not to this extent.
Yeah, I brought it up as a member item, I believe, in September, and we can go back through the minutes. It was brought up to the board that we already did have some concerns about safety, because, you know, the town had opened up their canal park and the trail comes right through into, you know, what is our village property as well. So this is just, again, you know, really significantly trying to address what is becoming, I think, an increasing safety issue, as Zach is saying. You know, more people are walking through there, period, with dogs and bicyclists and all of that.
Not to say that it has not, it's always been an issue. But
Okay, let's address it.
yeah, we're at a point where before something bad does happen, it should probably be looked into a little bit further.
Not to jump in ahead, but Zach, haven't we had a couple close calls recently?
Yes, a couple of close calls. Jason was operating a skid steer and was coming between the main DPW building and the smaller generator shed. And someone on their bike was riding down the driveway, and they almost collided. Both of them came to a skidding stop, and the person on the bike gave an obscene gesture and moved on.
And the road is posted as a private road,
Yeah.
so, you know, and that was also brought up by the person from Selective who did the walkabout, saying you need additional signage, you know, that
Yeah.
it really has to be made much more clear.
Additional, bigger, brighter,
Yeah.
and out more signage everywhere. She talked about a split rail fence, perhaps separating the canal path from the DPW facility. There used to be a gate at the end of the driveway that meets the canal path that was removed a while back. We have put up signage there because we've had people who drive on the canal path, and that happens a few times a year. Either trying to get through the village without having to go through the village, from Monroe Ave down toward Main Street. Or they think that they are going into Spall's property, maybe looking for an office, and end up getting onto the canal path and heading back toward Main Street on the canal path. We've seen them go in all different directions, but the signage is there, the gate's not. So I think in order to address this, we just need to start kind of enclosing ourselves.
Mhm.
Every municipal or every other DPW that we visited, they're all enclosed. One of them actually has a moat around it, and it's, yeah, we're the
Divert the
only,
canal.
quite literally, we're the only facility that is not enclosed. And
Yeah, and you know, I think really the action item coming out of tonight is, and Lily, you're asking all the right questions, you know, where's the cost, where's the money coming from? I think really what we'll do is bring back on the 14th, you know, really an outline delineating of what we're looking at and the costs associated with that as best we can, so we kind of get a handle on that. Because I agree, I think that's important. Zach, I know you're going to be reaching out to the town because they do help us sometimes make signs and come up with that as part of our shared services.
yes,
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's ways that we, you know, can make at least implement some pieces faster than others, you know? Yes, Justin.
done overnight. I think a little bit of progress made, you know, over the next couple of years, you know, in a couple of years, you know, hopefully we'll have something that's a little bit safer
Mhm.
for everyone.
Yep. Justin?
Yeah, it does seem that there should be some kind of separation from heavy machinery and people using the trails for recreation. I guess that from this list of items related to safety that we're looking at, I don't understand exactly what the proposal is. And so cost, I think, would be one part, but I think Trustee Lanfear also asked for some kind of a map. And I would need something like that too, just to be able to understand what the proposal is. You know, does it properly balance our safety needs with the public use of the trails? And I guess a further, so at the very least, I would like to see that before we decide on it as a board to figure out what the, you know, if the costs are justified. But I was also wondering if something like this actually requires site plan approval too.
Steve's here. But, well, you know, first of all, I think the reason why we're talking about this tonight is to come up with the proposal and the plan and the map and everything. So I think, you know, this is the starting point because as you can see by the date on the letter, November 4th, from the insurance company, that this has just been recently received and we're bringing it back before the board and the public. And so this is how we all want to proceed. So I think, you know, we're in agreement on that. Steve Steve, we can get with Steve and talk about a site plan and, you know, make sure we're doing things properly and all the rest.
I can talk to Scott to see if he'd be willing to come through and do a quick map for us. It shouldn't shouldn't take a whole lot of time for him to be able to do something. It's just
Yeah,
fencing.
that should be part of it anyway. We've talked about that actually in the past, so that makes a lot of sense.
I just wanted to say, the barricades that we're considering, separating the fork in the trail, from the DPW section of the trail, will probably be done with straw bales, which are relatively cheap, and signs posted on stakes. So, just quick, dirty solution to a problem.
Yeah, they're short term and then longer term, so I think that's really kind of what we're looking at. And I think, we can pull that out of what the insurance representative said as well. Yes, Dorothea.
I would just say to the board, this is identified as a risk for the village and we're going to want to take action. So this really isn't one of those items we can backpedal. We're going to have to show we're making some kind of action to protect the public. I think we all agree there's no reason for the public to be on the actual DPW grounds unless they're invited for some event or something, and which I highly doubt would happen too often. So we really want to keep them off where the vehicles are and our crew is, because it's just not safe.
Yeah, this is
So-
coming from the company that insures us. Yes, Jeff?
Yeah.
I would say now that we've had a couple incidents down there, you really on notice that this is a problem.
Mhm.
And you shouldn't really delay too long before you do some remediation to keep people off that, even if it's only signage in the short term.
Exactly. And Zach's already on that. I mean, you've already looked at 30 straw bales that you're going to be picking up and speaking with the town. So absolutely. But the rest of the plan, I think, we can come back, pull some more information together about what it's going to take. And we have a budget cycle coming up as well. And we may be able to find some additional money in the budget even before then. Yeah. Any other comments before we move on? Okay. Member items. Lily.
Hey, thank you. I might leave after member items.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I
not to be able to-
apologize.
Oh,
Hanging on by a thread. And I have several, beg your indulgence. First is I've received as a liaison to the HPB requests from their two chairs to have their vacancies filled ASAP. They're
Mhm.
both very concerned, both the chair people. And I think all the trustees also were copied in
Mhm.
on the letters that they did send. And I know that we are in receipt of at least two qualified candidates. So I would respectfully request on their behalf that actually two positions. I believe one position would be a board member and the second would be an alternate. And the alternate theoretically would be able to serve on the 75 Monroe adjunct board from the HPB, because they're down to 3 members, which is not a comfortable place to be, and they would really appreciate it.
I appreciate that. And they certainly have been able to conduct business. And I do appreciate that. And I also am going to be receiving some additional resumes. I've spoken with several other people who contacted me just even over the weekend. So I'd like to take full consideration before I put anything forward to this board. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Your other item.
I had another item.
But can we comment on that particular issue?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
didn't see your hand up.
So a couple of things. One is I think and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the appointment of replacements is the sole discretion of the mayor.
That's correct.
One. And
That's correct.
secondly, I hope that we post specifically about this on Facebook, not just a general call for resumes, but that we're specifically looking to fill HPB slots.
Yes, we have. Thank you.
We have, or we're going to.
No, we
We
have
have.
done it. We have done it already. And it's also on our
When?
website.
We put
Dorothea.
that out, 6-8 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been up there. Well, we could repost it too in case people.
We can repost, but we did post.
Yeah, that's been up for sure. Yeah. Yes. Justin,
Okay,
On the same topic, I just
Oh,
wanted to say
okay.
that I think that this is really important. And at the last meeting, we discussed new citizen committees that were being formed. And in particular, a tree committee, I think, was the most recent one. I really think that as a board, it is important to talk about priorities. And I think that the established boards, the HPB and the PZBA, which have decision-making authority on village matters, we really need to take care of those as a top priority. So I appreciate Trustee Lanfear bringing this point to attention.
Yep. Thank you. Very good point. Yes, Lily, your other member items?
thank you. The second is something I brought up previously, and that is my request to have a memorial sign of some type. Wouldn't have to be a renaming, as Jeff pointed out in an email earlier, that to rename Village Lane leading up to DPW for former trustee Frank Galusha in memorial would not be a practical thing to do, because some deliveries come there, and so the post office would have that Village Lane as their address, and it would be confusing to rename it. And so to that end, I wonder if the board would permit me to research what might cost the village to have a memorial sign attached to the street sign below the address as a recognition of Trustee Galusha's work and his commitment to the DPW. And that's my request, if I could do the research and find out how much it would cost to have a memorial sign made.
Oh, to research it, sure.
Okay, that's my request.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay, is there anything more important that's going to happen? May I
No,
say
we're all
good-
good. Now we're all good. I hope you feel better. It's a terrible feeling to have it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lily.
Thank
Take
you.
care now.
Better, Lily.
Okay, feel better.
Bye.
Okay, other member items?
Go ahead, Renee.
Oh, Renee.
I just wanted to follow up on one of the things we discussed at our last meeting, which was Mayor Plummer and I were going to meet with the fire department to reach some compromises on the pedestrian refuge island designed by NISDOT for in front of the Del Monte and the dairy. And we met yesterday and with the new district commissioner and the fire chief. And we were able to reach a compromise on the design where we are going to have a hard curb there with signage and a crossing just as planned. And we thought we might have, there's going to be 20 feet on each side to adhere to fire code and the concerns about bringing in accessory vehicles on the southbound lane. And it looks like we're going to be able to get hopefully some parking. We thought we'd have to give it all up to get our refuge island, but Mayor Plummer went back to DOT with a recap of our meeting, and they're going to see where we can retain some parking spaces. Sorry, I'm not being very articulate, and I didn't even have a booster today, so I don't have an excuse. So that's my update. Are there any questions about that PED refuge island, which will be done in conjunction with the work on the bridge? Sweet.
Yeah, it was a positive meeting. I thought it was great. We were able to really work together and come up with a good solution. And thanks, Renee, for all your good work too. Really helpful.
Thank you too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, other member items? Dan? Yeah.
Justin, if you want to go ahead, you can.
Oh, I'm
Do you have
sorry.
any?
Justin, was your hand up? You said?
No, I didn't raise my hand. I'm all set.
Okay. Just, let's see. Two things real quick, just, again, always encouraging of us working directly with the 75 Monroe parties to come to a prudent resolution of that. The second, I would like to read a statement. It's a little over a page long. Just want to put this on the record. To the members of the Board of Trustees and to our village clerk, I would like to make an apology for my tone at the end of the last trustees meeting on October 26th. Fatigue at the end of a 12-hour workday and then a 3.5-hour trustees meeting combined to sap my patience. Also, the item was not on the agenda or circulated by email, and it blindsided me and probably others on the board. This discussion of employment performance should probably be held in executive session as well, ensuring privacy. I genuinely apologize for the tone I used for a time, for losing patience, and for interrupting, which was disrespectful. While I take responsibility for this, I do stand behind the words that I used. I accept that we need more staff, particularly given the pandemic and the resignation of our deputy clerk. But the claim that, quote, our treasurer hasn't had time to train their replacement, which was the reason given in the last meeting several times, does not fly. I don't blame the treasurer for this and will explain. To be clear, it is a failure on the part of the trustees of this administration and the prior one, myself included, that a basic handoff of duties has not been prioritized or happened. Some history. The treasurer planned for retirement approximately a year before actually retiring. Then once retiring at the end of 2019, signed back on at a higher hourly rate on a temporary basis, roughly double the rate before retirement, albeit at less than half the hours. Simple economics says that we're paying almost the same amount of money for half the work. This is not a fiscally responsible position for the long term, and at almost 2 years with a request for 6 more months, this has become a long-term situation. We held a retirement party in February 2020, close to 2 years ago. Most of a year passed, albeit during the pandemic. Then we hired a great replacement candidate in roughly January of 2021. Brooklyn started a few weeks later. He has been terrific and has been on staff for the better part of this year. For most of 2021, the retired treasurer and the replacement sat next to each other in the office. They have been through most of a budgeting cycle, through an audit cycle, and through many other parts of the day-to-day job. I may have the dates somewhat wrong, but the general timeline is accurate. To claim that there, quote, hasn't been time to train Brooklyn is preposterous. That it hasn't happened roughly 2 years into this transition is not okay. To extend at a high rate for something that should have been done long ago is not managing the resources of the village appropriately, for which we as trustees are stewards. And that's the heart of my frustration at ourselves, at the trustees, for not overseeing this transition responsibly. That I found the request and its excuse outrageous is frankly appropriate. The short story is it needs to be done and it is doable. No one's job is that invaluable. Yes, there's complexity and nuance in any job and decades of lived experience from the outgoing treasurer, but the mission critical tasks are transferable. To be told that it needs 6 more months on top of a couple years, I stand firmly against that. It shouldn't have taken more than a few weeks to write everything down or record some training videos. In closing, I get it. I know we need staff, but please don't sell it to the people of the village that there hasn't been time to train a replacement. There has been ample time. It just hasn't been managed or completed. The tasks were not prioritized by this group of trustees. Again, I apologize for the tone I used at the end of a long day. I apologize for the lost patience and the disrespect I showed in that moment. I stand behind the words I used, though, and the thought behind them. Respectfully, Dan.
Thank you. And thank you for that apology too. And appreciate your lens on it as well. Do you have any other member items? Okay. Who else? Yes, Renee, did you want to?
Tomorrow night's composting workshop. I didn't know if, I know trustee Link had said he didn't have any member items, but do you want to give us a quick,
Yeah.
for those people who
Sure.
are attending, let us know what tomorrow is.
And thanks for
Yeah.
pulling it together too, Justin.
Oh, sure thing. Yeah, and thank you, Trustee Stetzer, for reminding me about this. We do have a composting workshop tomorrow. I did confirm with Dr. Ebner, who is on the town environmental board and who previously gave a presentation to this board about composting. She'll be there tomorrow, and she's going to talk to us about some of the same composting opportunities that we've discussed in the past. So municipal options and home composting, residential composting options, that sort of thing. So I hope that everyone can attend, and I look forward to talking with other board members as well as members from the public who would like to chime in and comment.
That's great. I will say up front, I may not be able to stay for the whole meeting. I actually have another obligation, but I want to, attend as long as I can. Okay, anything else here? I have a couple member items. First of all, I want to thank the DPW for doing such a great job pulling it together to support our regatta this weekend, the Pull the Plug Regatta, which was really great. I went down there. Zach, you and the crew just did a great job hosting, really, the crews, and because they set up right at the DPW building and really just helping to put in all the docks and helping them set up and prepare everything for the regatta. And the regatta really was highly successful, and they had great weather. And also a shout out to Joni Proul, I guess, who was up all night doing security for the cruise as well. But you all did a really nice job, and it was really appreciated. I know it was a lot of work considering how understaffed you were.
It's so fun to see that spot so alive.
I
in a different
know.
way. Yeah.
I know, it was really great with the docks there and them going in and out. Yes, no, I'm sorry, Dan, yeah.
Just one last thing, we circulated an email about this. There's actually 2 emails that went around that I do want to discuss. One was around the holiday schedule for the office staff. So I saw your response, Elisa, and the question I had was, do we normally give them the 24th and the 25th off?
Yep.
No,
Okay, so it's normally just the 25th,
Right.
correct.
not
It's
even a
normally-
half day on the 24th?
As I talked to Mayor Plummer, it has been known that the mayor might call and let us leave at noon on the 24th.
Okay,
It just landed this year that it happened that
Yeah.
Christmas landed on Saturday, so we're getting the 24th off. So
okay.
Get the whole,
Then-
they get the whole day.
Then, then what I would propose then is maybe that half day is the 23rd then. So if they normally got like a day and a half extra, then maybe do it on the 23rd.
that's staff would like it, but that's a board decision.
And then the second one, and that sounds like that's at the mayor's discretion for that extra half day, and I support it. The other one was Dave Ferris's email about the tree.
Mhm.
Does anybody want to give an update on that?
Did you see my response then?
I did not know.
You probably didn't see the response. I just wanted to, I had reminded Dave and any, I guess everybody else who was copied on the letter. I don't know, did the rest of the board get a chance to see the letter? Okay, yeah, we had Jason Tornillo from who's the subcontractor for RG&E, who actually was overseeing the trimming of the trees. And so we all know how that turned out. And so I just, brought Dave up to speed, perhaps if he missed that in the meeting, that there is some remediation and mitigation for the cutting that happened on a number of our trees that really frankly compromised those trees. So they will be removing some of those trees at no cost to the village. And I furthermore negotiated as additional remediation, the removal of the tree that is located in front of 27 Monroe Avenue for free at no cost to the village. It's a difficult tree removal. Zach, you may want to chime in because we've had a lot of problems trying to get people who will remove that tree because it is in the power lines. And so they will remove that tree at no cost to the village. And they will also remove another tree that has been designated for removal for actually, I think for quite a while, certainly before I took office, on Elmbrook. And so this has actually saved the village thousands of dollars. And, we're going to find out the cutting schedule. He hasn't let us know yet. They are completing their work for RG&E as contracted, I guess, throughout the area. And then they will be circling back. So the yellow ribbons that you see, the caution tape around the trees, are trees that have been identified to be taken down. And that's a fairly customary practice for municipalities to make identification that way. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that, Zach?
I spoke with Jason last Friday, and they were just waiting on a log truck to
Oh,
to
okay.
come in town. So once I was in town, he was hoping that it would be sometime this week. It's only Tuesday and may see him still. But I think he's anticipating that those trees will come down this week.
Okay, so it's gonna be in the near term. I mean, that was
Yeah.
my sense. He couldn't commit to anything when I last spoke with him. So thanks for that update. Really appreciate it.
I hope it'll hold. Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to continue on with my member items. We did have a Village Hall energy audit, and this was something that I brought before the board in the past. We had folks coming out from the Golisano Institute of Sustainability, and they did a top to bottom energy audit. I would say, what was it, Dorothea? About 4 hours or 5 hours. So they took all kinds of readings. I opened the building for them around 6:45 in the morning, so there was nothing turned on, there was no energy, and then they monitor over time that the energy usage as lights go on and furnaces come on. So they will be providing us with a report and also with some recommendations. And as you all know, we have a couple of oil furnaces in the basement, and we are looking to replace those. So they're going to help us with making some sustainable recommendations. And so as part of our being a climate smart community, this is a good thing. So, and they were very excited, by the way, that we had adopted becoming a climate smart municipality. Yeah. So
Yep.
they're all over it. Yeah.
It was really exciting that they proved why I'm always cold in the village office. So I was very happy. Apparently our heat vents are on top of the bookshelves, so the heat just goes up and nothing comes down to keep me warm. So I'll always be in a cardigan.
I know, it's true. And it's funny because they found vents that we didn't even know existed. I mean, they literally were crawling all over the building. So it was pretty interesting. Anyway, so we'll be hearing from them at some point. And then I was contacted by a few residents, and I just did receive an email, and I'll forward it to the board. And it is, they want to come up with a community-wide program called the Season of Light. So it was sort of candlelight night would be part of that. So just as, you know, there's so many different diverse residents in our village and also in our town. Some people celebrate Christmas, some people celebrate Hanukkah, some people celebrate Diwali, some people celebrate Kwanzaa, Chinese New Year, all of these different things. Different traditions, different folkways and cultures exist in our community. So they approached me with a conversation and an email about potentially just sort of expanding a little bit, maybe next year, where we would have different lanterns representing these different kinds of traditions. And I think the theme would really be to share the light, that we all share light, that we share common values as neighbors and residents. So I just wanted to bring that up to the board. As I said, I've just been receiving some information about it. I think it's kind of in the conceptual stage, but I think it's really kind of lovely. So putting that out there. And that's really all I have. Are there any other items for the board? Is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, Dan? Yes. you have
Weren't
something?
we gonna have a attorney-client about something that we pushed because, you know, from
Maybe-
last week? This was a Justin thing.
We talked about that and I said that I didn't need it. Thank you, Dan. But as far as I'm concerned, we're okay. Unless somebody
Yeah,
else wants one.
thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, thanks to Dorothea for doing the research, and Jeff and everybody. So, okay, there's a motion to adjourn. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a
I'll
second?
second it. I'll second it.
Okay, vote please.
Absolutely. Trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes. Good
Okay,
night, and
thanks,
we'll see you
everybody.
tomorrow.
Good night.
Good all.
Good job, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.